So I'm going to introduce you to Jax Austin and Badge. Everyone needs one. Hello, gentlemen. You already have a diesel heater in there for the conversion, right?
I have it for the vegetable oil, yes. And that does work, and it also takes more electricity than I thought it took.
So I'm going to ask, where did you even get the idea, Jax, of doing a veggie oil bus?
Well, great question. It was it was the first time that Badge and I were hanging out in the desert. This was after our famous meeting at the laundromat. And so I get out there, we're working on stuff. And, we were just talking about things. And, I had met several people that did vegetable oil. It seemed easy. It seemed cheap. It seemed like, hey, I'm not going to spend, $600 a week on fuel or whatever I was spending. It's kind of an exaggeration, but I thought to myself, it'd be nice to have a bigger bus, to have more space on the frame, to then hold the fuel and then, get around on this veggie oil. And so we were talking about it. So I ended up selling that old bus and getting the newer bus. And then, we just me and Mike headed up to Canada, and, Badge did the conversion, and that was interesting, dealing with the Canadian post office. And
we talked about that before, yeah.
Yeah. So you get to Canada, and now you're going to do this veggie oil conversion. How did you even get the information? Like, how did you even know where to start?
Well, that's a good
what
question.
We were going to get into, is because he had a friend, Jax had a friend from Waste Vegetable Oil. And this guy, and the funny orthodox thing about this was that he's putting in veggie oil, right? But they're paying him to take it out. So, he had his mind another way, and he was telling Jax about all this stuff, and he's telling Jax how it worked. And then Jax is relaying this to me, and I said, no, I don't think so. I don't think it works that way. Well, yeah, that's what he said. I said, no, I don't think so. I don't think it works that way. So anyway, we were probably in it a week, I think. Eh, Jax? We were probably a week into the build.
Yeah, I think.
And I said, no. It can't. It's a deadhead system. A deadhead system means that the fuel goes into the head, and the only way it can get out of there is burn it. That's the only way. You can't bleed it. You can't flow it. You can't do nothing with it. So I banged this around, and I found out that the Ford, like your ambulance, has return line, and International don't. And so I says, well, then we'll put on return line. So we changed everything. We took the high pressure pump out, and the big thing you got to remember is that when Jax sat down, he did his homework, and he says, I want 2 complete systems. I want one that runs on veggie oil, and I want one that runs on diesel, and I want to be able to purge it 100%, not put it in a deadhead engine. And well, like I even called the guy on it. I said, okay, we go and purge the engine. How do we know we're getting all the oil out of it? Well, you don't. Well, then that's not called purging it. That's called maybe it'll work.
So when you say purging, you mean so you're running just solely on diesel or solely on oil?
Yeah.
Not a blend.
Replace purge with flush if you want.
Okay.
To understand. You got to flush the veggie oil out, right?
Yeah.
You got to flush the veggie oil out of it before you shut it down. So, but with a deadhead system, you can't do it, because it puts in like 3.5 ounces of oil. But does it go out that injector, and then when you put diesel in, it mixes? Does it all go out? You can't guarantee it. See, the system we put on Jax is that we spent almost 3 months figuring out, is that when he flips from diesel to veggie back to diesel, he knows 100% sure that all that vegetable oil is out of that engine. Totally.
Yeah. Yep.
And the other guys can't say that. And then everybody says, oh, and Jax got caught on this a couple times. Oh, yeah, veggie oil's not a big deal. Then you start poking them and asking questions, and they're mixing it. They don't even have a system on it.
Right.
They just add it to the fuel tank.
So you're doing a
really
30% blend, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
Well,
30%. So
let me jump in. So from the beginning, there was, of course, everybody is you can get online and see all sorts of stuff about this veggie oil stuff, right? There's not one way that everybody does it. There's different ways that people sort of do it. And essentially, it's the same thing. You're burning veggie oil. So we looked up, here's a kit from such and such company. Here's some components from another company. Here's a guy that he installs stuff and he says, so you got all these different opinions. And then, of course, we have Badge, who's the master mechanic, and he's like, well, no, I don't think that's going to be a good idea. Let's do it this way. So we hodgepodged a system together. I don't even know if anybody has the same setup really on this. First off, if anybody wants to do this, do what everybody told me and get yourself a mechanical diesel engine first and foremost. The Cummins 12 valve or a DT 466. It's way easier. The reason is it has a really strong pump in the engine, a Bosch P pump, and it just makes life a lot easier, and you don't have to add all the crap that I had to add. Now, I had to add 2 $500 pumps. I had to add all sorts of stuff that go along with modifying this particular engine. Like, yeah, you can run it on veggie oil. Yeah, you can add the pumps. You can add the this. You can add the that. But, we ripped out a bunch of stuff. For example, we took out the fuel bowl, which has a fuel bowl heater. If I did not install a Webasto engine heater, coolant heater, this bus would not start unless it was summertime year-round period. So we modified this engine so much, and it just when you tinker with one thing, it's like a whole row of dominoes, falls down. And so, yeah, if anybody's interested, you have the same engine, you can do it. You're going to spend $1,000 in pumps. You're going to spend $400 on a filter. You're going to spend a lot in fuel lines, braided fuel lines. You're going to spend $200 or more on, Badge, what are those selector valves called?
The selector valves, the solenoid.
The solenoid valves. So you're going to spend so much money to then try and save money. So it's
the change.
What I'm saying diesel, is get the mechanical diesel engine. Save money if that's your thing. It's so easy because this pump is so strong. It's sucking all the way from the engine. See, we're pushing from the tanks, and it's just difficult. Yeah. So you can do it, but it's not like this is the greatest thing, since sliced bread. It's really tricky, and you need to be pretty much a master mechanic to figure out how to do this, or a pretty smart person.
So Gina was wondering, how do you feel now that it's done and running? Was it worth everything that you went through?
It was a great experience. It was fun working with Badge. It was awesome to learn all this stuff and to tinker with it. There's positives to it. I am saving money when I fill up, but the vegetable oil is hard to find. There are people who sell refined vegetable oil for $1 a gallon, $1.50 a gallon. Now diesel right now is about $2.50. So to save $1 per gallon, you can make your money back. But I have a capacity of like 300 gallons for oil. Now, realize that if you are going to collect this stuff and process it on your own, you need to have some kind of land and a car to go and collect all this stuff. Because when you're on the road and you think to yourself, oh, I'm out of vegetable oil, let me stop at this McDonald's. Okay, first of all, they're under contract. They're not going to give you the oil. Second of all, you're lucky if you get 5 gallons at a time. And third, then that means you have to process it yourself. So it's kind of, it's not efficient. And we'll get into what I think is better a little bit later. Me and Badge were talking about this earlier. But so was it worth it? Yes and no. It just kind of depends on what you think is worth it. What, you know what I mean? I'm glad we did it. You know, it's cool. It's a cool system.
See, that's the trade-off. The trade-off here is that you got to remember that Jax knew very little about mechanics when he started this, and he could honestly, I think he could take the top of his engine apart now without even blinking an eye, because he was in there and he's seen why everything works. What's this? Yeah. That's a fuel pump. What's this? Like, me and Jax went in, and you verified this one, Jax. We went in and we found 2 screens in the heads, and nobody knew they were there.
Yep. Oh, I saw that on that video. I watched you guys talking about that.
And nobody knew they were there. I said, this is a screen. No, it's not. Oh, yeah, it is. And nobody knew it was there. Like, that's the thing. Like, we weren't getting information from nobody. So that's why we had to sit and figure it out. And we figured out a really good system. Like, his system is probably, bar none, the best on the planet. There's no way. There's no doubt about it. Because we not covered every base.
So a normal diesel, correct me if I'm wrong, Badge, if you run out of diesel, you're having a hell of a time getting this thing started again. But with my system, we can flush out the air bubbles and then it'll start. Whereas the other one, you have to get out that air somehow, and it's a real pain in the butt. I haven't tried to get out the air yet, but you know, when you change your fuel filter, that's why they say make sure there's fuel in it, fill it up with fuel, etc. And there's definitely some benefits to having the system, a return system like this.
Oh yeah, there's really good benefits, because like we were talking about it on the weekend. Like, you talk about 7.3 power strokes and changing the fuel filter, you can just see the mechanics start running. Well, a lot of the lube places, like, they won't even do them. But that's why, because it's a deadhead system and you can't prime it. Where Jax, we pulled the whole fuel system out. We never even had fuel in it, and the thing started right up.
Yeah.
Like, it was because that's the way we built the system. So that's what some of the advantages are. Like, if he goes along the road and blows and runs out of fuel, it's not a big deal. Walk down the thing, pour it in the tank, start it up, go down the road. Yeah. Whereas an ordinary Ford 7.3, you got to get a mechanic out there to pressurize the head and pressurize this and bleed it and put. It's just a pain.
It's funny. I've done that driving. It's funny. I've done that driving. I've ran out of fuel. I remember I was driving from Arizona up to Oregon, and I was going up this hill, right? So then my tank, you know, it got low, and the feed's in the middle, so all the fuel kind of went down there, and it went dry. Yeah. And I was like, oh man, I'm losing power. Something's wrong with it. Well, it's because I was running out of fuel. So all I did was I just switched the tanks, then magically the thing came back to life. So, you know, it has some pros and cons, and we fixed one of the issues with it. You know,
advantages.
Yeah,
like a ton.
It's
of
a better
advantages.
system.
Like
it's
nobody, and we mean everybody. Like, there was nobody, Jax? Everybody said there's no way that thing will start up on veggie oil. His will start up with veggie oil.
Oh yeah, mine will start up as long as the engine's warm. The thing fires right up. Doesn't matter what's in it. Yeah. So.
And that's why you had the Webasto to keep the oil warm?
To put the Webasto on, or just 100?
Yeah, that was kind of like a redundant thing that we did. And that was, I don't even remember how we got started on that, but you know, we were talking about it, and thank God we put it in there, because otherwise this truck would not start anymore without like a block heater, because we took out the fuel bowl heater, which is pretty important.
Yeah, thing would never would
never start. So now, you know, if it's cold outside, I just turn the Webasto on for 10, 15, 20 minutes, depending on, you know, how cold it is, and thing fires right up. So if I forget to turn off, if I forget to flush out the veggie oil, no big deal. Just warm up the engine, turn it on. It's done like supper, as Badge likes to say.
Yeah.
Like, you just need enough diesel to run the Webasto.
You know, when you start yours up, Paul, and it does that bang and clang, and you said that's normal?
Yep. The number...
Yeah. And you said is that normal, that banging and clanging when you start it up? It doesn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, we also got rid of that, too. There's the
smoothed it out, right?
Yeah, we increased... What was it? Increased the pressure, and so... we got rid of that number 8 injector knock, which, you know, if anybody has a Ford and it's on idling, It's like gar, 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 gar. And
Yes.
so we got rid of that. Yeah.
Nobody can do that either.
Yep. Yeah. So,
I drove to see Badge. I'm like, I've never had a diesel. Is it supposed to sound like this? Like,
this is kind of technical stuff. If you're anything like me a couple years ago, you're like, what? Huh? I don't understand. But it's kind of more complicated.
Well, because there's a series of 3 videos that you have on this, right? 3 videos that have different parts to it.
On the veggie oil?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. How many
Is there even more than that? I watched 3 anyways.
We got 3. I mean,
there's 3 just on the veggie, and then we had the tanks and the Webasto and all the wiring and all that stuff. But that's the thing. Like, everybody goes on about Jax's bus, but we never really tell people what is in there because they don't understand it really. And that's not really true. Oh yeah, it is true. Like a deadhead engine, how do you bleed it? It's just it's a cool system. It really works.
Well, really, the simplest way to say it, the Badge, you're gonna smile when I say this. It's got race car parts. It's got race car parts in their Badge.
Yeah. We went the race car fuel system, and we even put a race car pressure regulator on the return line. Oh, you can't use that. Okay. What did he put? 15,000 miles on it since then? Works just fine.
Yeah. So, yep. Everything worked great. Yeah.
So, that's the thing. Like, and that was what we're up against because we found that out in about 2 weeks. We started checking this out, and we were fine. I said, Jax, these guys they don't know what they're talking about. We're banging our head against the wall. They're not telling us the answers. So we said, we'll do it ourselves. And we did.
Yeah.
Like we found out there was no return lines. We put return lines on. Racing cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we put all stainless rubber hoses on the fuel system. And it was all top-notch stuff, and we put everything was done like really well done. And I say it's the cream of the crop, really. And we haven't had no issues with it. Like, I thought we'd have some issues with the pressure regulator. We haven't had no issues with it at all.
Well, I've had issues.
The wheel.
I've had issues with it, but the biggest issue I've had with it is the operator. That's me. So this one time, the operator decided to mix dirty motor oil and vegetable oil together, and they just don't play well together. They turn into glue, and then so you gotta choose your battle here. Oh man, I was filtering through pants, denim jeans I got at the Goodwill, and oh my god, it was like a whole nightmare. And I didn't even realize that the problem was me, right? I was trying to do something that wasn't supposed to be done. But you know what? Look, I learned, and that's life. So, yeah.
Yeah, but didn't Michael just say on my live stream last week that he recycles his oil and burns it through? Like when he changes his oil?
Yeah. So this is another thing that me and Badge were talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. We'll get onto that later. Okay.
Sorry.
But yes, you can.
Go for it now.
Okay. So here's my thing. There's something called black diesel, and that just means that you're mixing used motor oil with diesel to thin it out enough to get it through your system and burn it. So some people say, "Wow, vegetable oil, that's awesome. It's eco-friendly, and all this stuff." And I'm like, well, anything that comes out of the tailpipe is pollution. So, it's what kind of pollution do you want? Do you want pollution from the plants, or you want pollution from the under the ground, right? So I think I read something that said 1 gallon of motor oil can pollute 1 million gallons of water. Also, some people use the motor oil for their heaters up in Canada, used oil heaters and things like that. So I was talking with Badge, and I know there's pros and cons of using the motor oil stuff. It's a little dirtier, it's a little sootier, but at the same time, if you think you're going to hit the road and you want to save some serious cash, The motor oil, I mean, it's, you go up to any Jiffy Lube or whatever independent place and you're like, hey, can I have your oil? I mean, they're going to be like, sure. You mean for free? I don't have to pay you to take it. I mean, it's out there. I mean, it's real. I don't know which one pollutes more, but both of them pollute. So, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of hard. You just have to see what you feel comfortable with. But as far as like the veggie oil versus the diesel or versus the black diesel, I don't know. I haven't tried it, but apparently you can do it and it works great and it's just readily available. So I don't know.
See, that's what and Jax will go on it because Jax operated this. He knows the numbers, right? And that's what we talked about was that to do the veggie conversion, you have to pay for it anyway. But to see the 30% mix of veggie oil, you don't have to do nothing. All you have to do is change some filters a little more regularly, right? Like, you got to remember, we put fuel filters on here, and nobody could tell us what we wanted to know about fuel filters. So we put on the best Daco, no, not Raycor. What was that?
Davco.
And we'd take, these filters one filter lasts for like 100,000 miles. And we were plugging them up in 3 days. Like, what was going on? And we found out, and we went to the manufacturer and asked them what is going on, is that they won't take wax. If you put wax into it, it plugs the filter right now. Well,
Well, it was mine was also leaking water, though. Remember that? Fuel. Well, mine was leaking water into the filter, and so it was just sucking up all the filter things. So, but yeah, when I mix those two, but yeah, when I mix those two together, the motor oil and the veggie oil, all that gunk and goo, it just clogged it all up. So
yeah. But there's so much to think about, and the problem is that you got to really sit down and figure out what you want to do. Like Jax did all the thinking about it, right? And he says, no, I want 2 complete systems. But we put 2 complete systems on it, and that's what it worked. Now, when he goes and runs black diesel or veggie oil, he can do it without even blinking an eye. He can do it because his system is that good, and where before you couldn't. So, like you put black diesel in your bus or in your ambulance, you'll find out that it'll start plugging filters a little faster, especially up here in the cold weather.
So that's what Mike was talking about with the recycling the motor oil. He's just adding the used motor oil, hopefully filtered, into the tank, into the fuel tank. And just like what Badge was talking about is, if you want to run veggie oil, a way easier thing to do is just use a blend and put it right in the regular tank. As long as you don't go into a extremely cold place where it's snowing, and it's say 50s or up or something like that. I don't know exactly. The truck should start, but the more oil you add into it, the thicker the fuel becomes, and then it has to be heated. Yeah, exactly. So,
I would just, for example, if I had done all the conversion, I would literally just put a certain amount of oil straight into the diesel tank and then a certain amount of diesel. And how do you know that it's mixing and going to go proportionally correct through the engine?
I don't know. Maybe put in the oil when you're on.
You don't.
well, maybe if you're on empty and you add in your 5 gallons of veggie oil and then you fill it up with 40 gallons of diesel, you have your ratio or whatever you're looking for.
It'll that's one way possibly.
But doesn't I just wonder about how it blends in the tank. Like, is one denser than the other?
Go like this.
It's a crap.
Jeez. Smarty pants. You've seen me drive?
Drive it like you stole it. That's how.
Yeah, drive it like you stole it.
Yeah. But yeah, honestly, I mean,
the funny thing about it is we run it on veggie and we ran on diesel. And you know how yours runs. Well, you run Jack's motor. He's got the same motor as what you got in yours. Well, yours is 6-liter. But it's the same thing and makes the same noises. And his doesn't make that noise anymore.
Yeah.
It's totally quiet. you can't even
Yeah, it's
hardly
true.
hear this thing run when it's sitting there idling.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. It's true. It's true. It runs good, and you know, they say you get a little bit better mileage on the vegetable oil. You know, I don't know. I have one of these digital gauges, and I can't seem to crack 10 miles per gallon unless I'm going downhill anyways. So it really doesn't, doesn't really show up that much. But yeah, I think I mean, the easier way to do this, unless you really want to make a project and you're good with tools, a real easy way to do this is just start pouring something in your tank. Make sure it's filtered, clean, make sure there's no water in it, and then just dump that stuff in your tank and just go, But carry spare filters and, and have,
filters.
Yeah, it will. It will.
It'll plug a filter really quick. But see, even even at 30%, you want to make sure that you're running around the 80 degrees, 75, 80 degrees all the time if you're running 30%. And when you get down to like freezing, you don't want to put any in at all because it'll start gelling on you in that, right? So you don't want that.
Yes. So you guys take a look at this comment. So when it gets to a place where it didn't mix, the engine will stop running?
Well, Badge, I'll let you take that one.
Because you'll burn on either or.
To a place where it didn't mix. Yeah, the engine it won't quit running, but it'll run bad. Like it'll take a long time for it to clear out. But chances are you won't get that because that's why we went with the system we did. We don't have that problem because all the oil going in. Jax does not turn it on veggie oil unless the Webasto's on and it's at 150 degrees. Veggie oil has to be 150 degrees to burn. It won't burn before that. So that's why you don't want to leave it in, turn it off. Even though we did it to try it out and we turned it off and started the bus at 60 degrees. Not a problem at all, which people say you can't do. So, okay, whatever. So, yeah, so that's the thing. You won't really get it's got to be mixed before it gets to the engine because the openings and the orifices in the fuel lines and all that, it won't allow it to go in. Because you got to remember, like I said before, is there's two screens on the heads, on the intake of the head, and it'll plug them solid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so also, Badge, would you agree that this would be only a summertime thing to do for people, or if you're in the desert in the wintertime? Yeah. Because here's the thing. My system is heated. The whole way it goes from the tank to the pump to the filter. No, tank, filter, pump, all the way up to the engine. There's a heat exchange, a flat plate heat exchange. The whole way it's wrapped in coolant. So my system is warm, which makes it more fluid. So if you go and dump this thing in your 7.3 and just right into the tank and it's say 40 degrees out, it's probably not a good idea. But if it's 70 degrees out and you dump the stuff in your tank and you're driving around and whatever, it's probably fine because that system is not heated. My system is heated, so I can burn it any climate, any season. So it can, mess with your motor if it's cold because it can gel up and slow down the fuel and everything like that. So if you're just going to throw it in the tank, just do it in, summertime. Or what do you think, Badge? What's better? What's more liquid? I saw a comment.
I got to talk. I got to answer Blind View's question there.
Because that's what I was trying to ask.
Oil, as motor oil is more viscosity than veggie oil. That's true. And that's why when you mix motor oil in the engine, in the fuel tank, it's only 10%. Where veggie, you can go 30%. So, yes, that's true. The motor oil has to be, because it'll mix and it'll dilute, but it's a little harder. But that is.
And it also depends on the blend and the viscosity of the oil and the if it's synthetic, right? Because synthetic's more liquid and all that stuff, right, Badge?
Yeah. See, the thing is too is like Jax found out in Tucson when he had the veggie oil problem, the easiest way to mix it, so you know, is you take 5 gallons of diesel and put in 2 gallons of oil or a gallon of oil or whatever you want to put in it, right? And then you mix it right there on the ground and then pour it in the truck. Because as soon as it's mixed, it usually doesn't separate. It usually stays, unless you let it park for like 2 months or something. But
yeah. And also, if you're gonna dump stuff in your tank, from my experience, mixing the two together, the veggie oil and the motor oil together, no, don't ever do that. But Badge, if someone's gonna dump stuff into their tank, I would say pick one or the other, right?
Yeah. Like, don't mix, like I think, like, we used motor oil for years and eons. We took motor oil and poured it right in the truck tanks and never had a problem. And never. Some guys even said it ran better. So I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but that's what they tell us. So, Steampunk was a prime example. He's going on, well, I changed the oil in my truck. What do I do? I said, pour it in the tank. So, yeah, that gets rid of it.
Yeah.
So Kathleen Klein says, biodiesel is huge in the trucking industry. I hated it as I had to change fuel filters more often and the miles per gallon was lower.
That's true. But now you got to remember, biodiesel is a mixture of vegetable oil and methanol, right? That's how they make biodiesel. So it's a totally different, everybody says it's not even, it's like a red pencil and a black pencil. It's not quite the same at all. It's the only thing that's got in common is diesel. It's totally different.
And isn't there a lot of cleaners in that biodiesel stuff?
Totally.
So if you're running a truck for a long time, and then you add biodiesel into it, it stirs everything up, and then all of a sudden you get all this crap clogging everything up all at once, right?
Yeah.
Roger Bus says, just stay with store-bought diesel, less problems and lower maintenance costs.
Yeah, probably.
Well, I don't want to burst your bubble on that one, but there was an incident in Texas here 2 weeks ago, almost a month ago now, and your buddy Strong Adventures, and they went to a gas station and they got 85 ethanol out of the diesel tank.
Ooh.
So we're talking $10,000-$12,000 bills. Ooh. So yeah, you got to be careful. That was an isolated incident. I never heard of that before, but that's what happened.
Yeah.
So I don't know. See, that's the thing with diesel and gasoline. If you take a gasoline engine and put diesel in it, it's not a big deal. But if you take a diesel engine and put gasoline in it, it ain't gonna last. It's gonna usually croak. So that's the thing.
So to circle the sun and come back here, if you're gonna do this, get a mechanical diesel with a P pump in it, right, Badge?
Yeah. See, now if you go back, and I'm not going to explain it all, because you go back into Jack's videos, it explains how we ran the fuel and everything. Now, John Dodds was talking the other month there, and they were doing it about a P pump. Well, you got a pump with a rack with 6 injectors right here, and you put the oil in here, and the oil comes out here. You're only dealing with a section of pump this far, like 6 inches, and it's so easy to do. You just put a valve on there, oil, diesel, oil, diesel, and you just flip the valves, and it only has to flush that, maybe 4 or 5 ounces of oil out of there before it's clean. A P pump is the easiest way to do it because everything's right close, like on a 5.9 diesel or an International or something like that. Like they're just, and if you go back to the old Internationals with the injector pumps, not the electronic ones, but with injector pumps, and the clearances are so that it'll run forever on vegetable oil.
So for anyone who doesn't know what that means 1998 or older diesels are the better ones for this stuff. I tried to find one high and low. I found one out in Indiana. I searched everywhere that could be searched. I found this 12 valve mechanical bus. It was just a little bit longer than I
Yeah.
wanted, and it had a little bit too much rust than I wanted to deal with. So I passed on that one. And I mean, that's really the way to go. Otherwise, you're getting into a lot of trouble here.
See, most of the flat-nosed bluebirds have um, Cummins 5.9 in them, right? With 24 valve or 12 valve, whatever they are. Those are the easy ones to convert. They're because you're only dealing with a section of pump this far. You don't have to rip the engine apart and get the injector, the pressure, the fuel transfer pump out and plug it like we did,
Yep.
and run all the new fuel lines. You don't have to do none of that stuff.
That's so easy.
But the other problem was Freightliner. The Freightliner buses, they're owned by Mercedes, so they're going to put a Mercedes motor in it. Now, Michael says it runs just fine on that, so I don't know.
Yeah.
So now, what do you have in your tank?
Sorry?
Right now, what are you running on then? It's cooling down. So are you just going diesel?
Well, actually, so there's a guy that I want to get a hold of, and he sells pre-filtered vegetable oil for like $1.50 a gallon, and then if you want to filter it yourself, it's like $1 a gallon or something like that. I just don't know, with everything going on, with the restaurants are not as busy and everything else. I don't know if he has the same supply that he had when I first found him. I don't know if he's all out of stock. I don't know what his situation is. So I just have to double check with him. And then I could fill up my tanks with veggie oil, and I could run veggie oil all winter long if I wanted to. As long as the bus is warm, I have. So I guess we should probably go through the system, but it doesn't matter the temperature. The way we built it, I could drive this oil in the Arctic. So the way the system is, it's in a tank, big ass tank. We have something called a hot fox, and that heats it up with coolant. It's a fuel pickup, so it goes into the tank. It stays heated, sucks it up. It goes to the badge. It goes to the filter first or to the pump first. I forget.
Yeah,
it goes to the filter first. And then from there it goes to the pump, and then that whole way up, it's all wrapped
all
with
heated
coolant.
and wrapped.
Right, it's hot all the way up to the engine. It goes into this metal thing called a flat plate heat exchanger. We got veggie oil on one side, hot coolant on the other. It just transfers the heat.
Yeah.
From there it goes to the solenoid valves, which you select, veggie or diesel, whichever one you want. Then it gets fed to the engine. On the return, it goes into another, goes into the pressure regulator, and then it goes into the solenoid valve for the return, which sends the fuel back. So if you're getting a mechanical, I know this is a lot of information, but if you get the mechanical version, it's so much easier. Like Badge said, you go before you go to the P pump, you put a valve on it, you run it to your tank, you make sure it's heated, and then that's it. And then you're ready to go. Well, of course, you got to add a filter and a flat plate heat exchanger and stuff like that. But it's so much easier, Yeah.
See, the flat plate heat exchanger is 21 plates, and it's got coolant on it. So the coolant is around 150, between 150 with the Webasto and 200, 190 with the engine. So and that hose off there is about 12 inches that comes from there to the engine. And when it comes out of there, the oil is right up to 155, I think it was. 155 degrees. And see, veggie oil's got to be 155. Now that was a side effect that we didn't know, was that on the diesel engine, we put the diesel accidentally went through the heat exchanger, and we weren't quite sure what. I was always brought up that heating diesel was a bad thing, but now we find out Volkswagen does it. Well, Volkswagen does lots of stuff they don't tell people. But heated, we heated the diesel up to 150 degrees, and that's why his engine doesn't make a whole bunch of noise. Now, we don't tell nobody about that because they think we're crazy, so we just shut up about that. But we heat the diesel too going in.
Yeah.
Volkswagen won't tell you that.
It's fine, it heat up the diesel, whatever. It's when you're on the internet and you're looking up something, of course everybody has an opinion and oh, don't do that, oh, do this, don't do that, do this. So it's kind of hard because everybody is an equal publisher, if you will. And so, I saw Joe on this one, so he said never do that, and then someone else says the complete opposite. So it's kind of it's hard.
You were up here, Paula, so you could relate to this one. So your Jax comes up from California, and I'm in Alberta, and we're doing this veggie oil. We can't find no information. So I says, we'll figure it out somehow. So we go into town. This is honest God's true story, believe me. And we go into Goldie's Pizza and order pizza. And Jack says, can I get your veggie oil? Oh, yeah. Well, you might not be able to get it all because my son uses it. I said, what are you talking about? He had a car converted to veggie oil. Yes, in Drayton Valley, Alberta. I said, you got to be kidding. Yeah, honest to God, this thing was converted. Totally.
It was awesome, too. That thing was...
It was unbelievable. Great system. It was very expensive, but it was a great system. And he showed it to us and showed us how it worked. And that's where we learned almost half of what we were doing by buying a pizza. So, yeah, it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And it was just so funny that in Drayton Valley, Alberta, there's a veggie car here. But, yeah. And then the funny part about it was that diesel went up to... what was it, $1.20 a liter. They were buying, now believe this, Paul, they were buying brand new veggie oil from the wholesaler for $21. It was $3 a gallon, or $3 for 5 gallons cheaper than buying diesel fuel. And they were pouring fresh oil in that car. Fresh oil. Yeah. It was crazy, but yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, Drayton Valley is kind of like the Odessa, Texas of Canada. So this is like oil pump central. So having somebody running veggie oil up there is like, what?
You could get your ass beat pretty quick.
What are you doing?
It was pretty funny.
Oh my goodness. So Blind Views asked, does veggie oil burn at the same temperature during combustion as diesel? Was that 150 you were talking about?
Yes. Yes, it does. Yeah.
Okay.
You wouldn't even, it doesn't change if you had a pyrometer on it or whatever, you would never be able to tell if you're on diesel or veggie, except when you get out, it smells like French fries. I just kidding.
Well, Badge, also part of the system, the common rail, right? So it goes into the engine, and then gets distributed through a hot engine. So no matter what, your fuel or your oil is going to end up hot, right?
Yeah, because it's got a common rail in the head. So when it hits the head, it's going to be the temperature of the engine. So, we put the Webasto on and ended up a whole bunch of problems. We ended tons of problems that we'd have. And so now the easiest way to get the veggie working is put a Webasto on.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry. Isn't it a Huey system? I think I was wrong. Isn't it a Huey system, Badge? But either way, it goes into the engine. It gets heated up, and it doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah.
So Cargo Dan wants to know how you're collecting oil. So when you went and got pizza and you said, "Okay, can we get this oil?" How do you get it? And how do you clean it? And how do you
It comes in 5-gallon totes, right? They buy it in 5-gallon totes. So when they would drain it out, they put it back in the totes. So you got these 5-gallon jugs. But the only problem is you got to remember, and me and
there's
Jack
bits of food in them.
Yeah, exactly. So we drain this stuff, and we're pumping it and we had a 120 micron filter on the pump. So that's like you could see the little holes in it, right? And it was plugging that thing. I'm thinking, what the hell's going on? And yeah, you get your little, you get little pieces of chip and flour and sugar and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
so you got to really clean it. You got to really clean
It's, it's really stinky stuff. It's dirty. It's sticky,
Yeah.
and like I said,
Yeah.
I found somebody who sells this stuff filtered, and honestly, it's just easier to go and to get it from this guy than, fish around town. And how am I going to find 100 gallons of oil? Like, how much time is that going to take? How much diesel is that going to take to acquire all this stuff?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go out and buy it from this guy. I don't care. It's $1.50 a gallon, whatever. I'm saving $1 a gallon times, say, 100. That's $100, right? So I'm already saving money.
To put it into perspective of, a lot of people are watching that aren't mechanically inclined or nothing, is if you're trying to go on a keto diet in Canada, you're going to have to really work to get the food, or a vegan diet, right? Because it's not that readily available. But if you go and
what about all the Canadian
McDonald's.
beef? That's
exactly,
totally
go to
keto.
McDonald's or go to Timmy Ho's. You can get your food all you want. Don't worry about your keto and your vegan. But that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a job. It's totally a job. Like Jax will tell you, it's not. Yeah, I'll go pick up 20 gallons of oil and pour it in my bus and off I go. It's not that easy.
Yeah.
But if you want to save money, you can still save money. Even by the time you clean it and put it in, you can save money.
Yeah. So I think, honestly, the most realistic way for this is that if you're not full-time and you have a piece of land and you make friends with the local Chinese place, you go down there once a week, or whatever, and you just start collecting, and you get yourself a nice little tote, a 250-gallon container, plastic container, and you set up your own little system and you collect it yourself. I think that's probably the most realistic way to do this. And then that way you have a stockpile of a couple 100 gallons. So then anytime you want it on demand, you can just go and fill up your tank. Otherwise, it's honestly, it's a pain in the butt. It's few and far between.
I'm thinking when you're traveling, how do you do it then?
Well, that's
exactly.
the problem.
And that's exactly. There's a lot of people who said that too. And it wasn't that I didn't believe anyone that it's hard to get and it's a pain in the butt. And, but it's like, well, look, I'm going to give it a try, see how this works. It seems like a fun idea. I can save some money and things like that. And that's why we added so many tanks on the bus. There's like 300 gallons of veggie oil on this thing. So, I could go across the country if I wanted to on veggie oil, and theoretically for free if I were to collect it myself. But then, of course, there's time and then the fuel to collect it and all that stuff. I don't own a piece of land.
Yeah, pull that question up from J-Rock.
Yeah, so I don't own a piece of land. It's hard to get. So.
Yeah,
Says my buddy
now
turned
this is a prime example. Now, we went through this scenario with Jax because the problem is that you pick up oil, you cannot go and dump it right in your tanks. And like J-Rock said, a buddy of his went and got a tank, and that's what we were talking about. But the problem is that we lose about 4 to 5 feet at the back of the bus by the time you put the tanks in and the cleaners and yada, yada, yada. Now, getting back to that, if you get this guy that goes around and picks it up and puts it in that tank, brings it home. Now, like you got a house in Saskatchewan, and you got a prime setup. You go pick up the veggie oil, bring it home, put it in the garage, and don't touch it. And all the garbage will settle out of that probably in about a month.
Yep.
That's all you have to do. It's just let it sit there and don't touch it. But if you're burning it every day, it's hard to do that. So that's why like we're saying, it's a job. It's just like a YouTube job, basically. You got to work at it,
Yeah.
Frederick says you have to get a refinery trailer.
Genius idea.
Believe me, we spent a lot of time thinking about that one too. because his buddy in Washington, Giuseppe, he's a real expert in this stuff. And he had a 6.9 Ford, which was kind of rare, but he had a 6.9 Ford. And Giuseppe, he had it all figured out. But it's just still the same thing. You get the oil, you put it in this one, you strain it, you put it back here, you clean it, and he had a system, right? But yeah, we were talking about putting a trailer together, like a 6x8 trailer, putting 45-gallon drums, clean oil, dirty oil, clean oil, and then a centrifuge. You can buy a centrifuge, and what a centrifuge is you put oil in it, and it spins it around, and all the dirt sticks to the outside, and the clean oil goes down through the bottom, right? It takes just over, 13 hours to do 5 gallons or something, wasn't it? It was a long, long time. But anyway.
The centrifuges, those are like $3,000 anyways, right? So by the time you do all this stuff, it's like you better be processing 1,000 gallons of this stuff to even make it worth your while, right? And you better get the stuff for free. Yeah. So I mean, it's a neat idea. The way I'm gonna do it to simplify it for me is I'm just gonna go buy it for $1.50 off this guy, save $1 a gallon, and just do that. And then, I don't know.
Well, and that's great. It works for you where you're at. But then again, you're going to be back to diesel when you're out on the road.
Right. Which is why I have 300 gallons. So the theory was, well, if I filled up somewhere on veggie oil, I could go 2,500 miles to where I, had 500 miles left in the tank to then try and find some other place to get it. But
it's kind of a pain, isn't it, though?
Well, so here's the thing: is that actually happened to me one time? I was driving along, and then I was like, "Oh, there's a guy up in Idaho who's got oil," and I was down in Utah, and I'm like, "Do you really want to drive 500 miles out of the way to go save $1 a gallon or whatever?" So it's because that wasn't on my path, and so. It just, it's it's a lovely idea to think about, but in practicality, it's a little harder than that. So,
but if more people were refining the used oil, then that would be a different story.
If then, of course, more people are doing it,
the demand goes up and the price will go up.
Well, well, they take this oil, and Badge and I were talking about this earlier. So. It goes from the restaurant, then it goes to a collector. It sucks it up. He takes it over to a tallow company, which is basically like place where they process animal fats and vegetable fats, and then they sell it off. And guess where it goes? Into your makeup.
Oh, yeah. I gotta get this off.
I swear, that's what's in people's makeup. Maybe unless it's some high-end brand or some vegan thing.
Do
or whatever.
I smell like bacon, Batch? Did I smell like bacon when I was there? I'm just kidding.
I'm not saying.
Wanderboom says, think of it like pioneers. You're paving the way for the next great minds to tweak it and to come up with the next great system for the future.
Kind of, except that. Our system is like 20 years late, and a couple of jackasses. Well, one Jax ass and a couple jackasses. But we got on this way later than the trend and all this stuff. It's still a cool idea, and if you're mechanically inclined and you're patient, I'd say go for it. But if you don't know too much about mechanics, I would say just stay away from this stuff. It's like flu.
Yeah,
it's like Gina says here, it's not always what you read about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kathleen Klein asks, would it not be easier and more cost effective to use a steam engine?
Probably.
Well, yeah. Well, but it's like Wonderboom says, you're breaking the ground for something else, and it's like it was a good experience. Like it was probably one of the best experiences I ever had building the thing, and it's kind of a cool system where you take a diesel engine that's made to run on diesel and revamp it, butcher it, blitz hack it, and make it run on veggie oil. It's kind of cool, and I mean 100% veggie oil. I'm not saying a blend. This thing runs on 100% veggie oil. There's no diesel in it at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. It's just, I mean, it's just, it's kind of hard to find. That's all.
Yeah. But see, the good thing about it is when the fuel prices go up, he just goes and buys veggie oil at Albertson or Safeway and just pour it in. You don't even have to clean it. And it's cheaper. So.
Gina says she almost choked on her soda at the Jax ass comment. And Raised by Wolves says that explains why dogs follow some folks. Hey, that's why Maple liked me right away. It was my makeup.
Yeah. Oh, we had so much fun time doing it, though. It was a blast. Like we had a hoot.
Yeah.
You guys probably would have done it all again just to have that experience together.
Yeah, you were up here on the weekends. You know how we operate, so it was just a blast. It was just a friggin' blast.
It was fun. And Frederick, you're absolutely right. That is why rodents eat the wiring. The insulation is they use some of this oil, and especially down in the desert, the pack rats go crazy for this stuff. And before you know it, you have all sorts of issues in your engine. And then, you basically have to throw your car away if it gets too bad. Because it's just going to cost thousands of dollars to fix it, But yeah, they put that stuff in a lot of stuff.
Yeah. We got a off the subject question, but what kind of cookies, Jax? Going Green Mom's asking.
I'm sorry, I was hungry. It's been a long day. These are pumpkin oatmeal chocolate chip cookies. And I added some chai masala mix into it to make it even more robust, and I made I don't even know how many cookies, 80 cookies today.
Dozens and dozens and dozens.
Yeah. Is that the ones that are going to make it to the mail? Is that the ones?
No, I think your mail system's broke, isn't it? Oh wait, is that ours?
I don't think we're getting any cookies, y'all.
J-Rock says I got a jug of used canola oil for ya. The binding that holds the insulation together. Oh, is that made with that stuff too? Yeah.
That must be what it is. Sorry to eat in front of you guys. I'm just hungry.
But see, that was the thing. Like you think about all this stuff, and like we did the temperature thing, and we made sure that the oil was 150 degrees and all that. And it's amazing how much you have to insulate stuff to get it 150 degrees where we want it to. It was quite amazing. I didn't think it would get to that hot, but it did. So yeah, it's kind of cool.
Everybody's distracted by the cookies. Jax, do you need my address to send me cookies, says Steve?
No. I'm good. Thanks, Steve. You're on your keto thing, buddy. I don't want to ruin it for you.
Oh, he could toss it for a day. Kathleen Klein says spray all the wiring with simple green and let it dry. Rodents hate it. What is that? What is simple green?
Oh, it's like a non-toxic cleaner.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Like a 409, but it's green.
Like, believe it or not, vegetable oil is really hard to get off stuff. Believe me.
Oh my God, it is.
We spilled some on the floor, and I said, "Holy jeez."
Yeah.
At least just wipe it up with some brake clean. Brake clean doesn't even fizz this stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Really?
Oh, and by the way, if the guy that consulted us for the veggie oil conversion, Nate Gunn, I think his email is nategunn22@gmail. If anybody after this conversation is like, oh, man, that sounds awesome, contact him. He's the guy that's now ripping systems out because people are having them removed. But this guy's a genius. He knows everything. I think he's down by Corvallis, Oregon, Eugene, Oregon. He can talk you through the process. We talked to him, and then we bought parts at some other place at WVO Designs. And so it's better if you just talk to one person, just like if you're talking to, two contractors. They're going to have different ways to do it, and they might not go together so well. So I would say, consult with Nate. Yeah, order everything through him, and wherever he sources it, that's fine too. Or if you're more mechanically inclined, you want to do it yourself, WVO Designs has all the parts. You can tell him that I sent you. You can say hi, whatever. Nice guy over there. but it's sort of a dying trend, and it's people aren't really doing this a lot. And I don't mean to discourage anyone. If you want to do this, by the way, it's an awesome system. It works well. You just need to be patient and have gigantic jugs for your oil and a lot of rubber gloves.
Like for me right now, because I'm still in my house, that's something that I could have set up here and use for going to work and coming, going around town and use it all the time. But when you're nomadic, that's where it becomes the tougher challenge.
Yeah.
And your mom just posted a recipe link probably for the same cookies that you just made.
Don't worry. Give me a day or two and I'll have it in my cookbook.
Megan is so cute. She's the best moderator in the whole world. You mention anything, she finds a link for it, puts it in the chat.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to talk about your cookies now instead of the oil.
I wish I could share them with you all, and you know what? If we're all out camping together and we start talking about cookies, I will be happy to make these cookies for you guys. But somebody has to bring an oven because I don't have one in my bus.
How did you make all your cookies?
Oh, I'm parked somewhere today that has an oven, so
that's why you're making so many at once.
Yeah, because after this I'm back, on the road, and I'll be parking down by the river. So yeah, exactly. Thank you for posting the WVO design links. Yep. If you want to, you can post NateGunn@22. NateGunn22 at gmail.com.
Steve says, you mean Elle's cookbook? Steve, Badge was cooking too when I was out there. They're a pretty good team. So Blind View says, if you can dump a poo tank, you can dump an oil jug.
Oh my God. Oh, that's true. It is. It's true. Yeah. And I would recommend, if anybody who is thinking about doing this, and you want to have this whole system, I'd say get yourself a good storage box that mounts on the bus, on the frame, and put all that stuff outside. You don't want to smell the stuff.
Inside.
Oh yeah.
It's not toxic smelling like gas or diesel or
that stuff's all over everything.
It's like going to sleep. Imagine if the stuff was under your mattress. It's like sleeping on top of French fries that you ordered last week that are all over the floor of your car. You know what I mean? It's just not.
Boy, you can paint a picture.
It's just not the most amazing thing you've ever done before in your life. Keep it outside. It's stinky. Trust me.
So Dale wants to know, can you run a diesel and oil mix without modifying anything?
Badge?
What was that? If you can run a diesel
and oil mix without modifying anything, can you do that?
A diesel and engine oil? Yes. You put in only 10%, right? So yeah, when it goes in the tank, it's mixed. So it doesn't, like, the diesel and the used engine oil have no comparison to veggie oil at all. None whatsoever. It's two different animals altogether.
Okay. Never Again says this is where all the cool kids hang out.
Well, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. I get all the best looking guys on my channel. Hey, guys.
Oh, my God, Kathleen, that is a genius idea. And I guess since you're, insisting, I guess I'm going to have to try it.
You're gonna have to try that and make a video with it.
Yeah.
Kathleen drives trucks, so she's done all sorts of different things.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really good idea, actually. Because here I am thinking to myself, oh man, I'm not gonna be able to make any cookies for a while, and this and that. So let me bake, I don't know, 2 batches, 80 cookies, and I'm sending them
2 batches? How big are your batches?
Oh,
80 cookies for 2 batches?
Right here, yeah.
And you're not going to share. What?
Yeah.
He'll send them COD.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Oh, is this the correct email address, Jax?
2 N's, I think. Let me just look that up.
2 N's? Okay.
N. Yeah, 2 N's. Let me just look that up just to make sure.
Thank you, Sherry. I'm glad that you enjoyed watching this. Yes, I do tend to get some of the coolest people on my channel for interviews.
Yeah. It's Nate Gunn with 2 N's, so it's NATEGUNN22 at gmail.com.
Okay, so just one more N.
Yeah. So if you just want to have somebody else do it and do it the right way, just email him or drop it off or all that stuff.
Education.
Yeah, education.
So J-Rock says, I've heard that our diesel is a little dry and adding some oil isn't a bad thing. Yes or no?
No. I'd put in when I was running my truck, my service truck, because I don't believe in diesels because they keep me busy. So when I was running my service truck, I'd put a quart of transmission fluid in it every, 2,000 kilometers. Well, 1,500 miles?
So every 2-3 fill-ups, huh?
Yeah.
So am I supposed to be putting something in my tank too?
No, you haven't asked about that. You know what really works?
I'm asking now.
Yeah, I know. The one that really works good, they got this stuff that's called 2,000 and something. It's very expensive. It's like $20 for a jug, and you put it in every 7,000 kilometers, and it really works good. It does work good. See, and that's
well, I'm using arc oil right now. Arc oil fuel additive.
Arc oil is the same thing, but
okay.
Like in my gas truck, in my truck, I put in alcohol, about a half a liter alcohol every tank. So
really,
just a shot of vodka every now and again, or like what do you mean? That sorry, I don't know.
Brings the gas mileage up about about a mile a gallon.
So it increases the ethanol.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of alcohol are we talking? Like vodka, whiskey? Are we doing rubbing alcohol?
I wouldn't waste the good stuff. I put methyl hydrate, man.
Oh, so we got to top.
Well, you never know who's listening and not interpreting it correctly, right? They're going to go, "Oh, I watched that live stream, and they said I could put a shot of alcohol in there."
Well, I think what's there 3 types of alcohol, right? 4, maybe 3, 4. So yeah. Where do you even get methyl alcohol at?
A gas station. We get a Canadian Tire.
Canadian Tire. Have you ever followed him through Canadian Tire, Jax?
Yeah, I like the place.
He is like taking an ADHD child. You look away for 1 second and he's gone. Like other end of the store, and you're going up and down the aisles as fast as you can trying to find him.
Come back with everything.
Yeah. I know, but it's just like, I'm just going to stay here. He'll find me.
And then guess what, Jax? He drags me to Walmart.
Oh, yeah? The one in
I
Drayton
needed
Valley?
A pot for my new Berkey, and they didn't have any at Canadian Tire for under $200. And I was not spending $200.
Yeah.
I was like, Walmart's right across the street, badge. I don't go to Walmart.
Yeah.
He went to Walmart for me.
Yeah. Even Brad sort of sat back when I told him that. So,
I couldn't believe how many people were shocked when they heard he went to Walmart. Oh my goodness.
Anyway,
Dale says probably going to need a lid for that cast iron. Yeah, I think so, to cook on both sides. Right?
That is kind of like a Dutch oven. Yeah.
Mention that to Dale. I've seen the comment go there. I was trying to tell him about the wire on the pump, but I never got to send it to him. But yeah, that's the same as the electric solenoid that happened on the P-band. 7 bought a truck and was on the side of the road today, so I had to fix that for him down in Florida. So, yeah.
Jim Beam or Seagrams? We're back to the oil.
Oh,
man.
Should it be potato or grain filtered?
That's right.
Oh, the alcohol? No, it don't matter. As long as it's methyl hydrate.
Oh my.
It takes all the water
J
out.
Rock
You
was
gotta
there
run
today.
See, and a lot of people run methyl hydrate in diesels, and I won't do it, but they do it, and I don't think it's the right thing to do. But what do I know?
Kathleen says that they use alcohol to get the water out of the diesel.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's it's like putting gas in there. I think, but a lot of people do it.
Badge, what's your take on the Lucas stuff?
It's good. It works, but doesn't
Okay, what's
do
Lucas
exactly
stuff?
what they say. The fuel conditioner.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't do exactly what they say, but it does work. But it doesn't. It's very expensive. How's
It
works
is.
better.
Which one works better?
How's got it? I think it's made in Tennessee or something.
Okay.
It does work.
I mean, I've used this stuff before. I don't know. To me, it seems like a sort of like a placebo effect, right? You put it in your diesel and you're expecting it to run better, and then all of a sudden you're driving it, and you're like, ooh, you feel that? Yeah, I didn't feel that before. Ooh, that's extra power. But it's just like, it's silly because I think it's in your head, and I don't know if it's cleaning anything or adding anything, and I don't know. I mean,
the only stuff I really found that worked was there was a company in Alberta here. It's called Red Round, and they made oil treatment and stuff like that. And they made a thing called TLX. And if you had water in your diesel, you could put this TLX in, and it would get rid of it like right now. It was really, really good. But I don't know. They got bought out by somebody, and I don't really know who's got the TLX line now. But it did work really good. But,
and there is a water what is that, water remover additive. There's all sorts of stuff over there, and it's, I don't know. I mean, there's anti-gel stuff that you can put in there into your tank. There's anti-water stuff. I don't know. Badge knows way more about this stuff than I do.
Yeah. See, your diesel will, if you don't get it, like if you go and fill up in diesel, like say for instance you got a truck that's got 1,600 gallons of fuel on it, and you fill up in Vegas and it's minus 20 up here, it'll stop. It'll just gel right up and stop. So you have to put in this anti-gelling, and it stops it, because in Canada anyway, every 5 or 6 hours they change the mixture for making diesel, so that whatever the temperature is, that's what they put in, right? So hopefully you don't get the stuff that's made today and burn it on Saturday, because it'll stop, because 18 degrees today and it's going to be minus 18 on Saturday. So.
What's diesel 911?
Oh yeah, that's it. That's the stuff.
That works pretty good.
That's the gel, the anti-gel and the anti-water stuff.
Yeah.
So should I be putting that in my tank? I've never used anything like that. No?
That's more if you have a problem.
Oh,
like the stuff you want to put in your tank is like the Lucas or the Howes lubricant diesel conditioner. That's what you want to do, especially in the winter.
This stuff that Kathleen is talking about.
Yeah, she doesn't like that
stuff. You
can
get it at Flying J. Go to Flying J; they'll have it.
Okay.
Oh, Walmart.
Richard
Walmart
Meek says, I've heard of old truck drivers put a gallon of gasoline and 100 gallons of diesel in the cold weather.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I'd do that. But okay.
Well,
I know a lot of guys did it. I wouldn't do it, but
I think somebody in the comments was, I think, said that. I don't know if I read that correctly, but I think maybe it was Kathleen that said that too. Was I used to put a little gasoline in there or something. I don't know if you have access to the prior comments. Yeah. I don't know anything about that, but I'll defer to Badge on that one.
Yeah. I don't know about the gas. I'm not a gasoline and diesel guy. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, the only thing I've used in the ambulance is that arc oil fuel additive, and then I do have an arc oil additive, but I'll have to wait to put that in with the next oil change.
Yeah, we'll just keep using that. The arc oil does work because what's his name? Sean. What's his from Long Long Honeymoon? He swears by the stuff, and he's got a 6-liter Ford, so that's like, that's the same as what you got. And he swears by it.
Froze for a second.
He swears by it. That arc oil.
Does anyone who's listening have any particular questions on the vegetable oil specifically? Like, if you are watching this because you want to do it, is there something that we missed that we didn't talk or talk about or anything or explain?
Give us a question.
Yeah, I just want to make sure if anybody's watching, like, ooh, I'm on the fence, I really want to do this, and I'm watching it for this reason and all that stuff. Because now we have Badge here, the master of mechanics. Let's ask away.
Well, now that I personally am listening to you guys, I'm thinking, because when I first found out that it could be done and Badge was part of the process, it seriously crossed my mind that would be something that could be a cool thing to do. But now I'm thinking, no.
I mean, you can.
I don't know.
Like, it seems like so much extra work.
Oh, yeah, it's not like going to the store and buying a quart of milk by any way. But
yeah.
It's just,
this is like buying a cow, milking it, and then churning the butter. That's what it's like compared to going to the store and buying milk,
the thing is, too, is that if you really want just to try it to see if it works, is go buy 5 gallons of vegetable oil and pour it in the tank and try it.
I can do that?
Yeah, go to Costco and get something. Go to Costco, get something, and dump it in there.
Then it's going to be Badge. I need you to come down to Weyburn. It's only 10 plus hours to get here. We have another question for you, Jax. He doesn't want to do it, but what ran through your head to decide to do it when you're making that decision?
Oh, I don't know. I think it was because I met so many people. Not so many. I mean, I had like 4 people who were doing this, and I thought, I've heard of this. It sounds cool. The idea of getting free fuel, right? Especially if you're on a budget or something like that. And one of the guys I met, Giuseppe, with the free tea bus, he was traveling all around the United States getting this free oil and whatnot. So I was thinking to myself, well, if this guy can do it, I can do it, and it can be done. But again, he was going at a snail's pace, and it was different than doing 200 miles a day, maybe average. I think I was doing, because I was just zipping around and burning fuel and blowing through my savings and everything. And I mean, it sounds nice, but that's the idea. But in practice, it's different. So, for me, it was more of a financial decision. It wasn't like, well, I'm going to save the planet because I'm burning vegetable oil versus diesel, because there's still pollution coming out of the tailpipe, right? So it was more just kind of like this neat idea, and I was thinking, oh man, okay, well, I could go bigger, have a bigger bus and have a little bit less miles per gallon, but if I'm spending less on fuel, then I'm actually saving money and having something larger for more people at the same time. And I don't know. It's pros and cons.
Yeah. Are you reading what Steve is saying?
Lots of pros.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that for me? Am I the cheap bastard?
I think he means you.
Well,
don't let him kid you. He's cheap.
Yeah. How many Chinese dinners did I buy you, Mr. Steve? That's what I gotta say.
Who's cheap now?
we had Mexican food every single night out in the desert, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never ate Mexican food, right? So Jax came over and we started working on a thing. He says, I'll get Mexican food. And of course, me and Elle are looking at him with one eye and saying, I don't know about that. But anyway,
Badge's idea of Mexican food, by the way,
cool stuff.
It's a taco in a bag.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm bringing real Mexican food to him from the Mexican market, and he's like, "Holy crap! What this is better than anything I had in the restaurant. You cooked all this." I didn't do anything. I just bought the marinated meat and some beans and stuff, and they're all impressed, right? So, yeah. But I paid
bean guy, but
I paid with food. All my lovely friends who helped me on the bus. That's right, Steve. You did work your ass off. They all got they all got the equivalent of slave labor. But no, I got dinners, and it was nice, and it was fun, and yeah.
that was over the. That was what, a year ago? No, 2 years,
like
year and a half ago.
Yeah.
That he was running through Arizona, and he didn't have his bus done, so we stole his bus and refinished it for him. So yeah,
and
we got a whole handful of. We had, it's funny, on the desert, we stole his bus, and I talked him into coming because we come back up to Canada, and we went back down, and I talked him into coming to Ehrenberg, to Squatterville, and I had 7 of the best bus builders on the planet working on this thing. Like, it was unbelievable. Like, we had Steampunk and Wonderboom and Dave Wanders and Neil and Dean and who was that? There's a whole bunch of them. It's the best guys on the planet working on this bus, and we got it all done. So yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, it was cool. Fun. This whole. Now I know a lot more about building buses, and I don't need to have have my hand held and all this stuff, and but when you don't grow up with a trade or some dad teaching you how to do all this stuff, it's really hard, right? Like I grew up surfing and all my jobs, I was behind a bar for a while and some other things. I just never had power tools, I wasn't really familiar with all this stuff. So, but now look at me, I'm like breaking down, I'm fixing it, I'm doing stuff in here, the woodworking and all, it's fun, it's a project, and I had the best time. I wasn't in such a good mood when Badge got a hold of me, when I was, when he said, you got to come out to the desert. I'm like, Badge, I'm sick of working on this damn thing. This thing is, pissing me off. I don't want to come out there. And, you got to, you got to come out there. And I'm like, well, I can't say no to Badge.
He did come out, so that was cool.
Yeah, well, that is true. I got taped to the steering wheel. But you know what? It was honestly one of the best memories
ever. It was a lot of fun.
To have all my friends, help me out when I was just kind of bummed out, and they pitched in, and we had lots of fun, and we had the campfires and tons of Mexican food nights and all this stuff, and oh my god, yeah, it's just you get the guys around, and what are you gonna do if you're not doing something like this? You're just kind of sitting out there twiddling your thumbs, right? So if you have something to do, and especially if it's for to help a friend or something like this, it makes you feel nice. It gives you purpose. So,
it's like you totally expanded your family.
We never really filmed the thing at all, hardly, not even a third of it. And it's kind of interesting to go in the back of the bus, and here's Neil with no legs sitting on the floor doing his solar, and Dean's feeding him the pieces, right? And then you got Steve Punk doing all his stuff. And then you got Wonderboom making, silk purses out of wood. And everything is just getting done. And you're just like,
what?
Jax is the same way you were this weekend. Just standing there wondering, Jesus, this guy ever stop? But that's what it's
I know,
all
I
about.
kept asking him, please take a break. Please take a break. I'd go in, get a pop for Mel. Kate, please sit down and drink this.
Yeah.
Just go.
I'm telling you, it's some of the best people, best people I've ever met in my life has been on the road. I mean, all the guys, all my friends, they're my friends for a reason. They're good people. Everybody likes them, the Badges, the Wonderbooms, the Steves, the Deans, even Wonderboom says, well worth it. But if any of these guys, ask something to me, I would love to help out and all this stuff and repay, and if something ever came up, of course, some of the strongest friendships, I think I'll ever have, is these guys. So, it's been awesome. It's more than just a bus thing. It really it was awesome. It's
You
great
take the
experience.
funniest things, like everybody looks at stuff the different way, right? And you get guys like Dave Wanders. He walks up, he's, who painted this thing? Well, I did. Well, he didn't paint it right because he's a professional painter, right? And he goes and trims the whole bus and doesn't even think twice. Give me the can of paint. And he's got his own paintbrush, and he goes around, trims the whole bus around the windows and the doors and everything. And it looks unbelievable. Like these guys, you get guys like that, Steve Punk, Wonder Boom, and Dean. You can't. These guys are $100 an hour guys, and you just don't get that.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. But I was glad he come and got it done, because now it's done, and he can live in the thing, right?
Yeah. Oh,
I just have to comment to Gina here. She says someday the borders will open and I'll see they're all amazing human beings. And if everybody is even a percentage of what badge is, I'll never want to go home.
Well,
because Jax, when you're seeing too, there's a lot of us, male or female, right? I think that doesn't even matter, but like some of us don't have that role model. We didn't have someone that can take the time and explain stuff to us. And I don't know. I got so much out of going to see Badge.
You gotta put this in perspective. Now, you were sort of sitting like that this weekend because you're worried you didn't know anything, and we told you about. Now you gotta remember, Jax couldn't even change a tire when we first met him.
Oh, God, I can change a tire.
Now he can redo it. Well, look at on the weekend. Look at last week. He put a new starter in, a new alternator in, and did all the batteries himself and all that stuff. And he changed the fuel filter, no problem at all. He knows what the problem is to change the fuel filter. And that's quite amazing. That's what I when I started doing this helping the nomads thing, that's what it was. Just getting people to learn how to do this stuff. And it's working now. It's really working.
Yeah. The easy part's, at least for me, the easy part is changing these little components, right? The hard part is diagnosing the problem, and that's where Badge comes in, because he's been doing this for so many years and has all this wealth of knowledge. And so I think for the average person, if you're like, hey, you got to take off the alternator, and you got to take the belt tensioner and loosen the slack and put the belt to the side, then you got a couple bolts and a couple wires. It's not rocket science, but you have to, someone has to tell you, like, oh, you need a breaker bar to get the tension off of the belt, so then you can take it off, and the bolts. And by the way, like, Badge and I talked a few days ago. Oh, make sure. I said, well, Badge, I should take off the negative, right? Well, yeah, but put the key in the ignition and make sure that it won't start, right? So actually I did that, and so I took off the negative first, and then all those relays were going crazy. They're like, "Wee!" So then I was like, okay, we're taking off the positive and the negative. So it's stuff like that, it's the knowledge. It's not so much just the turn the wrenches part, but what Badge has is all this wealth of knowledge for, how to correctly change something.
Like this, it's like a doctor. It's all about the diagnosis, not being just a parts changer.
No, doctors.
That's like the doctor, right?
They just practice medicine. I fix stuff.
Look at this. Jax gets thrown under his own bus.
Seven and Dale were on that comment. You take a guy like Seven, he was just livid, just shaking in his boots about this killer dowel pin. It's a dowel pin in the front of the engine that'll fall out and take the motor out, right? So he's freaking out about this thing. So we're down in Squatterville 2 years ago, and he's getting quotes like $1,200 and all. I says, what? And then Al mentioned to me, because I only hear what I want to, and she says, that they're going to charge him $1,200. I said, well, maybe I should split it with him, and I'll do it for half. So then I did it. And we're sitting there, and this thing's done in 3 hours. I said, okay, now what are we going to do for the other 9.5 hours? 7? And, like, you could just see the relief on his face when it's done, right? And, of course, it was coming out, which made it even worse. And just the relief on his face when it was worth it, every bit of the work we put into it, right? Because just some of these people make it up to so much, and it's just the thing is it gives people something to. Well, you need this, this, and this. Well, I don't know. I think I'll go call Badge and I'll get back to you just a minute. And like Wonder Broom, he lost the EGR cooler on his 6-liter. So he towed it because you can't do that out in the desert. And he towed it to a guy in Havasu, and it needs a motor. And I says, bullshit. Put a cooler on that thing and flush the thing with 20 gallons or 25 gallons of oil, change oil twice, and let it run down the road. And it hasn't missed a beat since, and that was 2 years ago. So, you just have to know where you can take the chances and where you can't. And that's what it boils down.
Yeah, but some of us have no clue. We take something into a garage, and it's like you're at their mercy.
Yeah. Well, I've been taken for a ride before, and that's what we were talking about. I think when we first met at the laundromat, and Badge was so generous and offered to help with a couple things, and he said, "Oh, you need help with something?" I said, "Well, yeah, it'd be fun to change the shocks on this and whatever." So he's thinking, "Oh, this is easy. Just do some shocks." Okay. So 25 jobs later. We fixed this thing up here because he fixed something in literally 10 minutes, and he's like, "What next?" And I'm like,
I know.
Shoot, how about this thing?" And fixes it. Okay, what else? I'm like, "Oh, well, shoot, okay." So we did all these fixes. Right, we did all these fixes, and I swear, this one time I went into the mechanics and paid like $4,000. They took me for a ride. One of the things that they charged me for was the electrical system. They said they checked everything. Then the bus wouldn't start, and I found out that one of the cables to the battery on the frame, the secondary battery, was completely corroded through, and I had to put a new terminal on this on the wire. So I went back to the shop and I said, "Well, you're going to need to take off and give me a refund because you clearly did not check the electrical. The corroded, the wire was corroded through. By the way, the alternator went out and all this other stuff." And so I had him take off all this money. I got a refund of like $1,500. And then as I was talking to my buddy over here where I'm parked, and he said something similar. He went to one mechanic and they quoted him $1,500. He went to a guy that he trusted, $750. Wow. So sometimes when they fix something, they just open their book and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's 2 hours." But see, that's 2 hours for me to do it. A guy like Badge been doing this stuff forever. That's like 20 minutes. So, but they're still charging you for 2 hours of work, even though it took them a half an hour or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, it wouldn't take me 2 hours. It'd probably take me 5 hours. But still, right? Like, but
we get your point, though.
Yeah, anybody's a proficient mechanic. The book hour stuff doesn't really matter because you do this. You've done it 100 times, and it's just like you don't even think about it. You just do it.
That's funny you bring that up because in the mechanic thing is a big deal to go by the hour, right? What they do is they'll tell you how many hours it's going to take for a job, and you get paid that amount. If it takes you more, you don't get any more, and if it takes less, you keep the money. Well, I went and I started working flat rate is what they call it. So I went flat rate, and I worked it for 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, I had just over 225 hours chalked up. I says, "This is crazy." No, that's the way it works. Now, if any of them come back for warranty, you got to do it on your own. And I never worked it after that. I thought it was such a ripoff that I would never do it again. And I've never worked flat rate since. I won't work flat rate because the only one that's going to lose on flat rate is the customer. Because you're going to tell them like 7. Oh, it takes 12 hours. Well, no, it takes 3 hours, but you're going to charge them 12. So that's why.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. I
never worked flat rate ever.
Yeah, and that's what happened to me. And so I ended up going to a different shop, and I showed them my big long list, and I said, these are the things that were fixed, and this is what I was charged. And so they had their own separate estimate that came up, and they're like, no, that doesn't take 2 hours. That's 45 minutes. Oh yeah, no, that's not an hour. That's, half an hour. And so the hours were so far off. And even if it's 5 hour difference, right, at $100 plus per hour, that's some serious money. So it when you're on the road, it's I don't want to say it's hard to find a good mechanic everybody says he's, oh, my mechanics, oh, this guy ripped me off. Oh, it's a dishonest guy. I don't want to say everybody's bad out there, but you just kind of have to understand how they're charging, and maybe ask them, hey, are you charging me by the book, or are you charging me, actual time on it? And not to be cheap or anything, but just so you can understand beforehand and make a better decision for yourself, and just ask that question. So, you live and you learn, and that's one of the lessons I learned from being on the road and paying other people to do it. And Wanderboom, for example, has a badge. What's it called? He has the mechanic guide thing, but there's a name for it, right? The whole book.
Oh yeah, the book.
What are those things called? So everybody knows. No, I know, but there's a brand. Oh, Chilton. Yeah. So this goes through, and this tells people like me how step by step how to fix stuff, right? And so that thing's worth its weight in gold, Yeah. So it's like having a badge over your shoulder saying like, okay, first step, remove your air cleaner. Step 2, take off the bolts for this. Step 3, reach around the side and unscrew something. Step 4, change this. And so, if you're handy in mechanical or, good with tools or whatever, I'd say get one of those if you want to tackle stuff on your own,
Yeah, but it happens all the time. Like most of the nomads that we hang around with down in Arizona, they know. And if they have a problem, they'll call me. Like I know a couple of them. Like one, for instance, is in Florida. And he calls me and he says, my truck won't start. So I knew what it was. I says, well, it's a solenoid on the side of the pump. So he takes it into the garage, and the guy's supposedly a diesel mechanic. He doesn't even know how to check this thing or change it or do whatever. And the person hasn't got the choice of options. Like the thing don't run. So I says, oh, get him on the phone. I'll explain it to him. So I explained it all to this guy. This is all new to him. This guy's a ASE mechanic, and I explained it all to him, and he changed it, and it worked. He says, who is that guy? So, yeah. But they just don't know. So, but you can talk them through it, right?
Doesn't that say something when you get a call from literally another country going, yeah, so my vehicle won't start, and they just know that somehow over the phone you're going to figure out what it is. I get such a kick out of that. Eliminate
the options. Yeah. Like the thing was driving all right and just quit. And on a Cummins, the shut-off solenoid is a big issue, right? They don't work. And then I said to the guy, I said, when you put it on, make sure you adjust it. So that when it's down, it's got a free pin fit that you can put the pin in. If it's tight, it'll burn the solenoid up. So, I never knew that. So now the guy knows how to change the solenoid. So it's all good.
Badge would be the mechanic that mechanics take their vehicle to fix.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah. And that's funny you mention that, is because that's why I am like I am. Because when I was 25, I got out of the Army and I went working in construction in Alberta, because I doubled my pay just overnight. And it was funny because I was working in heavy duty, like in construction equipment. And the guys are talking, yeah, I got to take my car in tomorrow and get it fixed. I said, what do you mean you got to take your car in and get it fixed? Well, I got to take it in, get the plugs put in it. And I says, you're a mechanic. Oh, I don't work. That's gas stuff. I don't do that. And I refuse to do that. I just refuse. I says, if that thing's burns gas, diesel, methyl, or alcohol, I'll fix the thing, right? And that's what I fixed everything. And that's why I fix everything, because I thought that was such a narrow-minded thing for heavy-duty mechanics to say, "Oh, I don't work on gas stuff. I just work on diesel." That's such a crock. I just couldn't buy it. That's why. That's why one of the biggest reasons I'm like I am today.
Yeah.
Hey, what is this comment that Steampunk Steve says only 11 hours to beat your record? What is that
11
reference
hours
to?
to beat my record.
11 hours to go to beat your record.
I don't know.
I missed that. Oh, Gina
Oh,
says
the
even
live stream.
mechanics
That was
need
at the live
badge.
stream. 11 hours to go. Yeah. We can run this out for 11 hours. Yeah.
What?
Maybe by that time the cookies will be here.
This kid's got to work in the morning.
Who does?
Kathleen
You
says,
do?
when I first started driving, I didn't know one part of a diesel engine from another. Our company mechanics would laugh up roaring at her, trying to describe what was wrong with it over the phone. But that has definitely changed over the years, hey, Kathleen?
Yeah, you know
Same
the
here,
funny
right?
thing-
I mean, that's
You know, the funny
Yeah.
part about it is that you go into some of these places and they don't even know what's the matter with it. So how are they going to explain it over the phone? So
That
you got to
comment
know.
was for me. I forgot I had a really long day. No, Steve, we are not. Although they could carry the show and I could have a nap and come back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That'd be the last time anybody came onto my live stream. Oh my goodness. So does anybody out there have any last minute questions? We're literally at 2 hours already.
Really? We're having fun.
Yeah.
At this.
2 hours.
Yeah.
But no, it's a. I don't know. It's like Jack says. It's veggie oil's not like a lot of the big thing. And like me and Jack found out is like a lot of high end executives were getting this done to their diesel Mercedes and stuff like that, right? Well, when they had found out they had to work at getting the oil, they just take it off. I don't want it because they knew the numbers matched. They knew the numbers worked and it was saving them a ton of money, but they wouldn't work at getting the oil, so that's why they're taking them off. But I don't know. If you're a guy like Jax, it's a great thing because you can, you can play with it. And it's something to play with, and it is kind of fun, I think, to know that you can go down to Goldie's Pizza and get a set of chicken wings and some French fries, and then get the oil and put it in your bus and go home. It's kind of cool, really.
Exactly. It honestly, it's kind of like a little science experiment. Sorry, I'm gonna plug my phone.
Exactly.
But it's kind of like it's a project, right? And if you like projects, then do it. If you're a person and you don't want to have a breakdown or something, don't do it, right? It's not for everybody. It's a conversation piece for sure. There's pros and cons to it. I'm glad we did it. It was a lot of fun. I think putting the thing together up there, over at Eeyore's shop over there, we're getting all these parts off these semi trucks and all this stuff. I'm out there literally fishing for parts, ripping air horns off of these semi trucks and fuel tanks and all sorts of nonsense and fuel filters, and I like that stuff. It was fun. I'm tinkering around. I had a blast up there. It was awesome. So it wasn't just let me put this thing on here and do the oil thing. It was having the guys up there with me and having fun and driving around and scratching our heads and banging our heads against the wall, and it was like a puzzle. It was fun.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Kathleen wants to know if she can adopt you guys. Oh, Mayhem RV wants to know what's on Jax's hat.
Oh, you know what? I got this hat off of eBay because I like these, little mesh hat things. And I think it's some radio station, Shadow Creek, like 89.7 or something. I don't know. I just typed into eBay mesh hat lot, like LOT or whatever, like a package of them. So I got like 7 of these things, and they get
I was going to
dirty.
say, are you always wearing a yellow hat?
Well, I got the black hat. They don't last long because they get dirty. I'm under the bus doing stuff, and
Well,
then I
because
get
they're
oil all
yellow.
over. Yeah, so I throw it away. And they're like disposable. I keep one, for, I don't know, about a month, and then I'm dead. Yeah.
You still got your Patagonia coat?
You mean this one?
The yellow one?
This one?
Yeah, that one.
What is that? What am I missing?
Oh, it's
A Patagonia
my
coat. He
little-
always has this Patagonia
it's just
coat
my
on.
little
This
coat.
yellow Patagonia.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, hey, Brian. Yes, it was the journey. So, yeah. Anyways, yeah, I got this thing at a discount. Some people harass me. They're like, "Oh, Patagonia. Oh, you spent a lot of money on that." I'm like, "No, got 40% off. Thank you very much."
Well, when the consensus in the chat is that you're cheap, and then you have a brand name, right? Confuses some
No,
people.
that's not true.
It's got nothing to do with cheap. You got to have money, and you don't have money. It's got nothing to do with cheap.
Right, it's called broke. It's called broke. That's what it's called.
Oh, now you're speaking my language.
Exactly. There we go.
Ay, yeah.
Yeah. If you ever
Can't
think,
leave
you ever think you could build one of these things for $20,000 and make it look super nice, man? Hey, that's a really nice thing to a really nice dream to have, right? Yeah, exactly. But you need a lot more than that, and you either need to have some serious skills or some amazing friends, like I do. So, this thing was way more than I could, tackle myself. Especially at the time with my skills at that time. So, frugal. That's
right. Not cheap, frugal.
Well, it's more broke. I'm telling you, that's what it is.
Jax won't get shot walking in the woods wearing that coat, Mayhem RV says.
It's funny because when I first got this coat, right, it's like there's the black color, and then there's like the green color, dark green, and then there's the gray color, and all this stuff. And I was thinking, well, which one is gonna, if I'm out in nature and I take a picture, if it's dark, you kind of just blend in like camouflage. So I was thinking to myself, I see all these pictures of people taking photos and stuff. And, I'll just have a nice contrast. No matter what the background is, I'll be yellow, unless I'm never going to be camouflaged unless I'm in a sea of sunflowers in the summertime or something like that, Otherwise, it's nice.
Like Dale says, poor is a state of mind, broke is temporary.
That's right. That is right.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, what do you figure, boys? Should we wrap this up?
I think so.
Sounds good.
Yeah. I don't want to wear you guys out. I want to keep bringing you back, right? So, but I really appreciate both of you being here and taking the time to explain this. I mean, and I'm not a technical person, but I did watch a lot of the videos, so I understand sort of at a distance some of the stuff you're talking about, but I highly recommend to everyone in the chat to take a look at some of those videos because it's really interesting and it filmed very well so that a person can see what's going on and it's explained well, so even someone like me could even hope to have this conversation on the live stream, right?
Yeah, but you said that we had that conversation. You said you wanted to know about it. Now you do.
I know. Thank you. That's the best part of doing these live streams. I get to meet the coolest people, learn the darndest stuff. It's
because you said, "Oh, I was thinking about that." Well, now you know what you're.
Now I know maybe it's not for me.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things are very different in theory than in reality. And am I gonna want to take the time to process all that oil? No.
Well, that's the thing. It's like Jack says, it's a science experiment, right? That's what it is.
Oh, so we are also, that's right, thank you for the reminder, DJ. Megan, can you drop the link for Van Life with Gina's channel? She has a live stream that started 7 minutes ago, so we can do a Van Veterate to Gina's channel. Thank you for the reminder, DJ. And then some people are like, thanks for coming on, you guys. All of us will come back if you ask. Paul is the best at interviews. Aw, thanks, Steve. You're such a pumpkin. I can't wait to meet him in person someday, too. Butterbean says goodbye to all of you guys.
Oh, Butterbean.
Yeah.
When are we back? We're back in 2 weeks, right?
2 weeks on Wednesday. That's when.
Sure.
Let me pull out my book. Oh, guess who I have this Wednesday? Russ with RV or
Russ
TV.
from RV. I'll be watching that one. I'll be bugging him. I'll be sending him all kinds of nasty questions.
You know what? We might have to do it on a day different than Wednesday. I got the next couple Wednesdays all filled up, Badge.
That's all right.
Or I can
Tell
do
us
2
today.
streams. Or I can do
Yeah.
2 streams. It doesn't matter.
And then
We'll just change
figure
the
out
time.
who's free that night, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
It'll be
I
either
think
Michael
that's awesome that
Wonderboom
you're
or
going to do that. So anybody in the chat, if you guys want to email me or comment on this video or live stream after it's done on some of the topics that you guys would like seen on these live streams, because Badge has graciously offered to come out twice a month and get into the technical stuff that I do not understand. So you guys can take advantage of that. Just let me know some of the stuff you want Badge to talk about. Yes, Russ did pop in tonight. I saw that. That was very kind.
Yeah. Badge, are you gonna do like a mechanics for dummies kind of stuff? Because I think there's a lot of simple things.
There's no dummies. They're not dummies. So
I think
that's why he's the best teacher. You don't feel like a dummy to ask him something you know is super simple to him.
It's just like we bring up the stuff, and if they want the answers, I'll put it in layman terms so they understand it. Well, that's a flux capacitor. That makes your car go vertical and sideways and everything at 350 miles an hour. What's that mean to Mom cooking the pancakes? Nothing. But if it's just a sparky thing that makes the car move, she can understand that.
Oh, you're a doll, Badge. And thank you, Jax, so much for taking the time and stepping away from the cookies like you did so that you could come talk to all of us.
Thank
Make
you so
us
much
all
for
jealous.
having me. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I wish I could. Trust me, if you guys were all here, I'd share all my cookies with you, and we would all have
I know that
chocolate on the sides of our. Yeah, and don't you worry, Badge. Send me the weird mailing address to Drayton Valley, and I'll send you some up there.
What, the third post from the light post on the 5th Street and the 4th concession? That one?
Oh, those kinds of directions. I hate that. We were talking about that when I was down there. People are like, you know where the old co-op was? No, I don't know where the old co-op was. Like,
yeah, just go to the co-op and turn right. Well, that's a 7-Eleven. Well, yeah, but it used to be the co-op.
Yeah. All right. Thanks again so much, guys. I'm just going to play the outro.
Man. Thanks,
and
all right. Thanks, Badge. Thanks, Paula.
Yeah, no problem.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.